Hello everybody, how are we all doing today? So I have some lovely news to share with you all, some news that makes me quite happy that we are finally starting to make a little bit of progress, and it is all because all of you have been making so much noise over the past few years, and I want to thank all of you who were in my audience who have been telling people that you know about right to repair, why it matters, why you should care, why you should be interested in fixing your own stuff, because you're all part of what builds the movement that allows me to report on cool news like this. So this is something that just came out today, and it says, Biden sets up tech showdown with right to repair rules for the FTC. Order may loosen rules on who can undertake phone repairs. Pentagon contractors, farm equipment is also under scrutiny. So as I always say here, this is not just about an iPhone. It's not even about the consumer electronics industry. It is about the defense industry, the medical industry, the agriculture industry. Every corner of our society has been invaded with this cancer of you don't own it, you just rent it nonsense. And people are finally starting to take note of it. President Joe Biden will direct the FTC to draft new rules aimed at stopping manufacturers from limiting consumers' ability to repair products at independent shops or on their own, a person familiar with the plan said. While the agency will ultimately decide the size and scope of the order, the Presidential Right to Repair Directive is expected to mention mobile phone manufacturers and Department of Defense contractors as possible areas for regulation. Tech companies including Apple and Microsoft have imposed limits on who can repair broken consumer electronics like game consoles and mobile phones, which consumer advocates say increases repair costs. This is true. The order is also expected to benefit farmers who face expensive repair costs from tractor manufacturers who use proprietary repair tools, software, and diagnostics to prevent third parties from working on the equipment, according to a person who requested anonymity to discuss the action ahead of its official announcement. The executive order, which is expected to be released in the coming days, is broadly designed to drive greater competition in the economy in service of lower prices for American families and higher wages for American workers. The White House economic advisor Brian Deese said Friday, I feel bad for what middle school was like with that guy's last name, so I just want to toss it out there that I apologize for your time in middle school. The Biden administration effort comes as the European Commission has also announced plans for new right to repair rules that would govern smartphones, tablets, and laptops. Environmental activists have said that restrictions on repairs encourage waste by making consumers more likely to throw out damaged items because of the high cost of repair. But tech companies and manufacturers have warned that opening access to underlying software and services could endanger Americans, from improperly installed batteries and tech devices to modifications on tractors and other heavy equipment that could bypass bullshit. Zero citations, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. The order is expected to include a number of other actions designed to boost the agriculture industry, including new rules that make it easier for cow, pig, and poultry farmers to sue large processors if they are underpaid or retaliated against. Biden's action will also call on the Agriculture Department to update current Product of USA labeling rules to restrict companies from labeling food produced overseas as American-made, even if it was processed domestically. That honestly is not something I really know much about. The U.S. will also invest in new and regional markets in a bid to increase competition. And it includes rules for the airline industry and luggage and, okay, honestly, all of that, I just, it's not my wheelhouse and I don't particularly care. I don't really know much about it. But what I do know about is this stuff with FTC rulemaking. So as I went over in a recent video here, FTC delivers death blow to anti-repair lobbyists and their disingenuous arguments. The FTC released a report recently where they went over the fact that most of this fear-mongering crap is just that, crap. And I'll include a link down below for you to see. This is over a 50-page report from the FTC. And of note, my personal favorite statements from this report: although manufacturers have offered numerous explanations for their repair restrictions, the majority are not supported by the record. And the record contains no empirical evidence to suggest that independent repair shops are more or less likely than authorized repair shops to compromise or misuse consumer data. AKA, the FTC realizes that the manufacturers, whether it's John Deere or Apple or a medical equipment manufacturer, are all full of shit when they're trying to fearmonger you out of being able to fix your own devices, whether it is medical equipment, whether it's a cell phone, whether it's a tractor, whether it's your car, or anything else. And when people start noticing it's a problem and they start speaking up, the FTC notices it's a problem, then The president notices it's a problem. Like, you see where we're going with this? It gets easier. But this wouldn't have started if it wasn't for every single one of you. When I do a video and I say, hey, by the way, can you fill this out? Or, hey, can you contact this politician? Or, hey, can you submit information to the FTC on this page? If you all weren't doing that all along, if you all weren't discussing this amongst yourselves, if you weren't getting people involved and excited in repair after watching the content that people like me or Jessa or Tim Herman or Michael Oberdick make, we might not be at this crucial point. So thank you. Thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for getting this to the point where the president actually invokes the name right to repair as an issue. Now, does this mean that something's going to get done? Who the hell knows? This is American politics. We know how American politics works. Does this mean that something's going to get done immediately, even 6 months or a year from now? No. But just having the president themselves saying right to repair or talking about right to repair in any way, shape, or form is considerable progress, because 5 or 6 years ago when I was talking about this stuff, most people had no idea what this was. It wasn't a political issue that was on the map, and now it's starting to get there. Now, I know in my comment section I'm going to see all sorts of stuff because it's talking about President Biden being the one that asked the FTC to do this, and a lot of people don't like Biden. Just like in my comment section, God forbid the name Trump gets mentioned, all sorts of... You understand. To me, I don't care. It could be Bernie Sanders talking about this. It could be Rand Paul talking about this. It could be, it could be Ron DeSantis talking about this. It could be Andrew Cuomo talking about this. At the end of the day, I don't care about the party. I don't care about the rest of their political affiliations. When the President of the United States mentions right to repair, regardless of who it is, you're moving in the right direction. And even if something doesn't necessarily happen or come from that, just the fact that this is mentioned as a problem, just the fact that they are citing reports where they say that when the manufacturer says there are safety and security issues, that they are full of shit, that in and of itself is a large win that I think we should all be happy about. And this is great progress. Again, even if something doesn't get done, when I show up in Maine and I'm lobbying and I'm talking about this, and they say, has the Attorney General seen it as a problem? And I say, I don't know or no, that causes them to say, I don't want to deal with this issue. Because many politicians are risk averse. What that means is that they don't want to be the first one to put into place a new piece of legislation if there's a chance of it having negative effects. They don't want to be alone. Most politicians don't want to be alone. They want to know that they have a lot of support behind them, that they're not just getting behind some fringe issue that's going to bite them in the ass later. But when I can say, the Attorney General doesn't have anything, but the FTC has a 59-page report on how this is a problem and it needs to be addressed with new legislation that I can point to, that makes it more likely that someone in a state legislature is actually going to move that bill forward. When I can say, well, no, this bill hasn't been introduced in this state, but the president is asking the FTC to draft new legislation about right to repair, so just so you know, the president and the FTC are on this, it makes it easier to get that type of legislation pushed through in a state, even if it doesn't necessarily make its way through federally. So even if a rule doesn't get put through as a result of this is still an amazing piece of progress, and I'm very happy to see it happening. Regardless of whether something actually gets done, regardless of whether the FTC actually starts drafting rules or rules with teeth, I started talking about this issue in 2013 when repair shops were having their stuff confiscated from them. I had 20 views on that video at a time when my channel had about 30 subscribers. Now, the president is asking the FTC to draft rules. This is no longer just me bitching into a camera about how I can't buy an ISL 9240. And regardless of whether something comes from this, regardless of whether you like the politicians involved, you have to admit this is a lot of progress for a movement that 8 years ago virtually no one knew about. And that's what I am focusing on when I'm reading this article. And I also just wanted to say thank you very much to all of you on a separate note with regards to the fundraiser that I did a few months ago for Right to Repair. I said that I was just sick and tired of being laughed out of rooms. I was sick and tired of dealing with, you had 20 anti-right to repair lobbyists walking out of a politician's office and no right to repair lobbyists. I didn't raise enough to be able to do a ballot initiative. But what I said in that fundraiser was that if I didn't raise enough to do a ballot initiative, that I would have enough to hire a lobbyist in all these different states where there's right to repair bills. And I am already in the process of doing that. I'm in the process of speaking to lobbyists. We're in the process of drafting agreements. I'm in the process of interviewing different lobbyists so that we can go ahead with. So I just wanted to say thank you, because that's something that would not have been possible without all of you. And I really appreciate it. I feel that things are starting to change. I think we're going to start to win. And I think that there is a chance that when you buy something, you might just own it rather than just lease it from a manufacturer that just doesn't want you to ever stop giving them money for a new one. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. And yeah, I am happy about this. I'm redoing a few things in my office, which is why the ladder is there, but I honestly just stopped doing it because I wanted to share this with all of you because this is such great news, and I'll see you later.